Because you had nothing.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. You have the people around you and you have God. And I learn, and you learn so much when you go through difficult time.
Yes.
I remember you go begging for food, but you don't get food all the time.
Wow.
So that one day, it was not one of those bad days, right? I went and begging for food, and the sun was already, the evening was setting. It's time to go back to the place where we live, and we had no food.
And you hadn't eaten all day.
No, and I was worried about my brother, my aunt, and my cousins, So usually I'm pretty lucky guy. My aunt still tell us Teresa passed away a year ago, that of all the cousins, Dad always has luck. I always bring home either some money or some food. For some reason, we had to split out to go and try different spots.
Of course, increase your chances of getting something.
Of getting food. And somehow I tend to be the luckier one. So that day I came home without anything, and I remember I went in, and then cousins, and we would come back, and Aunt sits there and said, "And did you guys have any luck today?" No. And she had a plate of food, and it was like, God, thank God. She said, "Eat it."
Wow.
And we were so hungry after the whole day. We just like that, we finished the plate, and we were so thankful that she had the food. And later, when I walked out, I saw her sitting under the tree far away, and I walked over. She was crying. She wouldn't tell any of us, but I went over and said, "Auntie, are you all right? You're crying." And she told me, "I haven't eaten anything yet."
Wow. She gave it all to you.
She gave it all to us. I was so moved. I mean, things like that, when you're suffering, you experience sacrificial love, strength, grace, that it's a lifelong lesson that I carry with me forever, even in my life as a priest. But even in our suffering, it's like the disciples on the road to Emmaus. God walked along with us, but sometimes our eyes are prevented from seeing Him. But there are moments of grace when suddenly our heart is burning within us and we recognize Him. And those are the moments, as I look back, that I recognize God's love all along, always walking along with us, giving us the grace, being very, very close to us.
Do you ever think about those days, let's say, for example, you're having a big feast like Thanksgiving or something, and you look at the food on the table. Do you think about those days when you had nothing?
I do.
When you were starving?
I do. I think that's why I'm kind of easygoing right now, because I remember being in the seminary. Sometimes the seminary would say, "Oh, the food today." For me, it's like, gosh, this is heaven. I'm looking at the food. Sometimes I see my little nieces and nephew, like they complain about the food, and I thought to myself, we're in heaven. Here as a priest, some people bring us food. I said, "Father, Dad, I hope you like it." It's like, for me, this is heaven. I remember on the journey, right, not having food, and I remember on the journey we were so thirsty when we were in the island. Walking to the village, we were so thirsty. And I remember when we finally found the rock, like after the rain, water have
it has
that little rock.
The dew on
and
the,
you can literally see these little creatures swimming in there.
Oh, wow.
The thing that become mosquito.
Yeah, the wrigglers, yes.
Yeah, but you were you just drink that.
Wow.
And right now when I see our table have a lot of food, and
yes,
I always think of those moments. I think of, we are so blessed because as we're talking right now in this world, there are many children. There are many, many people who are hungry, who are looking for food out of the dumpsters. If we only step back for a moment and see our life is so absolutely blessed, And I think going through those moments really make me appreciative of family, the fact that we could be together.
Yes.
Of the gift of freedom. of the fact that we could go to Mass. I mean, I long to go to Mass. Those months, there was no Mass, right? Growing up, we went to Mass every day.
Uh-huh.
And there was no Mass. You know, we gathered together at night and we prayed.
You just prayed.
We just prayed
yeah.
together.
That's
Later, when
amazing.
we were in that camp for about two months, and finally, the government and the Red Cross come and they took us to another island. So what they did was, instead of people living scattered everywhere in Thailand,
Uh-huh.
it was hard to bring food and medicine to us. So they gathered us all in an island. So the coordinated effort was a little bit easier. And while we were there, finally a priest came. Oh, I still remember the day he came. And as a little kid, by that time I was 13 years old.
Where was this priest from?
So he was from Vietnam. He was like us. He was on the boat and he
Okay.
escaped, and he was in one another island, and they brought him there. And boy, all the Catholics were so happy. Wow, we have a priest.
We have a priest. We could have mass.
Have a priest. we could have mass. You know? And I was just we just feeling so blessed. And when he came, then all the Catholics together gathered around him, and we talked to ourselves. Okay, well, let's have Mass. We haven't had Mass for months.
Yes.
So we talked with the staff of the Red Cross. Could you contact the Archdiocese in Thailand and bring us some host and wine? And they said, sure, we'll do it. In the meanwhile, we got together and we pitched in little tops and things like that. And we would cut the trees and we built a little chapel. It's a small chapel. The people who know how to draw, people who brought holy card,
Mm-hmm.
we would draw the image of our Blessed Mother, of Saint Joseph. We take the wood and we make the cross. We build a little altar.
Wow.
And I just remember the first day we had Mass. I was so happy. It's been months since I have Mass and the Eucharist. And we were absolutely overwhelmed with joy, sitting there in this little quote unquote chapel. It's just basically on top of it with the altar, and he celebrated Mass for us, and he gave us the Eucharist, and we were so happy. You know, now that we talk about it, maybe God had a plan for me to start this parish and from scratch the community, because he already prepared me when I was 12, 13 years old.
You had that experience already.
Without a church, without an office, without nothing. But there was so much joy. When I came out here to start St. Faustina community, Sid Cardinal gave me a letter and he said, go. There's no house, no office.
Uh-huh.
I was scared, but I think God prepared me for that now that I look back. Because we didn't have anything in the camp.
Wow.
And once we have the priests, we just gather around. We had the Mass and we had the community. And we were nurtured by God's grace, you know. And
were the priests in Vietnam persecuted? The Catholic priests?
Yeah. And he found a way to leave.
What was it like for them? Were they also put in camps like your dad was?
Gosh, you hear this different story. My uncle, for instance, if he had not left Vietnam, he would have been executed by the communists. Some priests work as a chaplain, dealing with bringing communion to celebrating Mass for the soldiers and things. Those priests, some of them were taken to prison. Some of them died in prison.
Wow.
So depending on what they did in Vietnam, before. So
I imagine it's like the scene in that Raul Julia movie, Romero, where they would torture the priests and the other ones could hear it going on. Is that something like what your dad?
There's different story. Different priests go to different things, but it's incredible. There's priests that died in prison.
So that uncle of yours, where's he now? Did he make it to?
Yeah, he came first to I believe New York.
Okay.
And then it was too cold, so they came down to the south. They found Texas, so they came here. And he incarnated into this archdiocese.
Okay.
He served in this archdiocese until his retirement. He's now living in the retirement home, Archbishop Fiorenza, a priest retirement home. Yeah.
Wow.